How are you? How's your Sunday going so far? We're entering the second week of the month so fast. It's soon to be, half a year gone. What have you done? It's crazy how fast this year goes by. Wait, I'm actually trying to go into my Facebook and see whether if I'm live. Just want to make sure that I am actually there. Am I? Okay, okay, I'm live. How are you? Okay. Yeah. So as usual, so this is our Sunday live. Hope you had a good rest. Okay, because well, for Malaysia, I kind of sort of had the long weekend, but not really for me. But then, well, yeah, just have to get ready for May because yeah, this is where the battle really starts. And as a lot more businesses, and it's kind of like the market is really getting back into momentum. We really need to go in and start kind of like fight for the month already. Okay, so yeah, we had a long weekend, so many long weekends, and then like those celebrations and all that. It's kind of like time to get back. Yeah, TY said holidays are over. CPM gets back to normal. Advertisers' holiday also over. Back to reality. Well, it is what it is, right? Okay, right. Yeah, I just want to quickly greet everyone who joins me, whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay. I'm Jason. If this is the first time you see me, I go live every Sunday night at 10 p.m. Malaysia time to answer questions about Facebook advertising and digital marketing. So if you have any questions regarding Facebook advertising and digital marketing, I mean, mainly that's what I do, Facebook advertising. I've been doing this since 2010. So all you need to do is if you have any questions, first I would recommend that you go to my YouTube channel because I've actually posted over 900 videos on my YouTube channel answering questions like this. Chances are I've probably answered your question before. So try to search for it. If you cannot find an answer, okay, all you need to do is just post your question as a comment on any of my YouTube videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you later. I'm going to capture your video and I'm going to answer your questions over here on Sunday night like this. So yeah, if you ask the question, just join me on the following Sunday if you want to listen to my answers live. Now, if you're watching this live, if you have time, I do this every Sunday anyway. All you need to do is just join me live and ask me your question. I'll do my best to answer. So what I usually do is I'll answer questions that I captured on my YouTube channel first, and towards the end of it, I'll be answering questions that are posted live when I'm actually going live on my various platforms on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. Okay, I'm actually going in live on 3 platforms on multiple presences right now. So okay, now I'm just gonna go right in. Yeah, so okay, so this is a question from Joshua. Okay. So you say you have just got a new client in service-based business. What do you think is the best approach in advertising for these businesses? It's a logistic moving services and storage service. Very good question. Okay. In fact, moving forward in coming, I mean, hopefully in May, we're going to do one. And moving forward, I'll be doing a lot more like short trainings because this is what I'm actually doing to refresh my YouTube content. So I'll be one of a so-called series that I'm actually planning to do is gonna be about discussing about how do we strategize Facebook advertising strategy for different businesses. So I'm going to share with you my approach when I am given a case. What are the steps I would take to develop Facebook advertising strategy and how would I deploy it eventually? I'm going to give you some idea about how to do that. So since you asked this question, I think I'm going to quickly give you an overview about what I am going to do, right? So first thing first, of course, we need to determine what will be the business model. When a client comes to me, the first question we usually ask is what is the like the business model, as in like how do you actually close a client? Is it like do you actually allow people to buy on your website, or you need to actually go through communication, like you need them to submit your contact and something like that? So it's the how is the sales cycle? So that's something that we need to understand. So when we understand the sales cycle, then we would actually determine which objective is more suitable for this. I mean, let's say, for example, if we talk about logistic moving services and storage, it looks like you have got like a multiple verticals over here. So is this a lead generation campaign? Looks like it, right? So if it's a lead generation, how is the lead generation flow going to be? as in like people would actually submit a lead form on Facebook, or do you want them to go over to the website? This has to be determined very early. Otherwise, we'll be actually choosing the wrong objective, and eventually everything is going to fall apart. Because some people would say that you need to start with the the audience targeting and the creative. But if you don't really understand the business model, very likely you might go into the wrong direction. I've actually made certain mistakes like this before, so I don't want you to make the same mistake. So when we understand the so-called the sales cycle, the lead generation flow, let's say it's a lead generation, then we need to understand what is the of course the selling point of the business. And when you are actually looking into these key messages for the campaign itself, we would usually cut in from a few angles. But the easiest way to develop your messaging is we need to actually ask yourself two questions. The first question is, what is in for your audience, and what do you want them to do? As in, like, when you present them this piece of information as an advertisement on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, that's how we would actually start developing our messaging. Remember, there is no one rule, one actually rule of thumb that rules them all. I mean, you actually have to look at the situation, and of course, we need to also understand the audience persona as well, because that would actually in turn help us develop the audience targeting strategy. And when these three things combine, these are the three main pillars, right? The objective, which is the objective that we are selecting. But of course, actually before that, we need to determine the sales cycle, as in like the business model. And then then we choose the objective, then we develop the messaging, then only we start looking into the audience targeting. These are the four main pillars that we would actually go through, emphasize on when we are developing a Facebook ad strategy for any industry. And of course, the next step would be we will launch the campaign as a test. It's very difficult for us to determine like what will be the outcome. Seriously, we are not fortune tellers. We won't be able to know whether this strategy is going to work. But essentially, it is about developing as much as we can, collecting information from all stakeholders in the whole so-called ecosystem that we can actually get, and launch the campaign to really get in contact with the audience, because they will actually give us the best answer, as in like, are we getting the right combination or not? Then followed by that would be, how do we build hypotheses based on what are the variables that we need to tweak, what are the factors that we need to take into consideration in terms of like optimizing the campaign performance, and so on and so forth. And that would be another process. So yeah, I mean, advertising on Facebook is not as easy as like ABC, then let's get it done, right? Of course, there are some lucky campaigns, but what I would recommend is we start small, we test the market, and then after that we learn from the audience response, because the audience will never lie. So that's what I think. Okay, Joshua, I hope I answered a question, but nonetheless, if you have any specific questions regarding your campaign development, now, this is not, like a session for me to develop your strategy per se, but this is for you to ask me any questions you have regarding your campaign development. Let's say if you have developed up to something so far, and then, you probably have, some prior campaign that you have actually tested before. You want me to come in and look at your variables and give you some suggestions. You can actually scan this QR code, buy me a mail, and we will spend half an hour together to look into your case. And hopefully within half an hour, I'll be able to answer questions. But of course, if you need something more robust, follow the link, go to my Fiverr account. In fact, go into my profile, you will see some other so-called gigs that I actually offer, like services that I offer. And one of them is I have a 1 hour gig that I would actually spend 1 hour with you in 60 minutes. But of course, prior to that, I will gather some information from you. I will do my research and study. And then within an hour, we develop the strategy together. So that's another gig that you have to look into. But this question, if you just quick questions, you can actually scan this, and let's look into how we can address any of the concerns you have about your campaign. Okay, so thanks for the question. And next question is coming. This is not a question, sorry. I mean, I'm not sure why I captured this, but just now it was really running out of time, so I just come in. So Realtor Leads Quick was saying, like it really helped you with the client who didn't have a privacy policy and did not know how to edit their website. Yeah, I mean, I understand, because this is about creating a privacy policy link for Facebook ads, especially if you run lead generation campaign, whether it's lead gen on Facebook form or lead gen on Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp, and anything that is lead generation related, you need to actually submit a privacy policy link. And a lot of people thought that I must develop a website or a landing page for that. In fact, in the past many years, what we have been using was really a, what do we call, what was that called already? What we really did was very straightforward, right? We actually create a Google Doc, and then after that, we put our privacy policy into it. You don't really need to copy from me. In fact, if you just Google privacy policy, you have a lot of samples. And then after that, you just capture the sample, change the company name, and of course, certain information. And then you publish the Google Doc as a public accessible link. When you're actually sharing your Google Doc, you can actually make it, everyone with the link will be able to see it. And then that technically turned the document into more like similar to a website, which is like everybody with the internet connection will be able to access to it, right? And then after that, you use that link as your privacy policy link. It works like a charm. So far now, no one complains to me that it doesn't work. And somebody asked a question earlier, I think it was last week or the week before, whether would Facebook ban your ad when you use a Google Doc, link as a privacy policy link? So far, as far as I know, there is no such thing as, Facebook ban, because of this issue. So there shouldn't be any issue. So you can actually, use this. So in case you're watching this video and you're asking, how am I supposed to do this? No worries, just do the steps and you will have a, privacy policy link up and running in no time. Okay, so thank you, Realtor Leads Quick. And the next question is actually a follow-up question coming from 1226CT. So I think I answered your question last week. So you were saying that you do not know anyone where you can actually use their Facebook account, as people are private and aren't active on Facebook. Do you recommend any companies or individuals where you can actually use their accounts? I do not have any recommendation on this, but as I speak to a lot of people, from all around the world that has similar issues, some of them actually show me some websites actually sort of like sell or rather rent Facebook profile, and some of them claim to have completed the ID verification process and stuff. So they are definitely websites selling that. And in fact, some of my clients actually made purchase before. Well, some of them worked all right, some of them did not. So I have no comment on this because that's not really something Facebook would actually approve, right? So if you come back to this permanent restriction issue, my best route, which I have tried so many times, in fact, I would say 99% of them work. Of course, there are some hiccup, like some 1% that did not go through. But 99% of the time, if you borrow a profile that has been around for a while, meaning this is not a newly created profile, it has to be like at least 2 to 3 years and above. Usually you'll be able to create a business manager and followed by, creating a Facebook page and a Facebook ad account, and you'll be able to start running ads in no time. Because like I always say, right, the so-called the end game, the end goal, the main goal here is not about getting the profile back. You get your profile anyway. You're just not able to use that profile to run ads. But what we really want to do is we want to start running ads, because like the other day I was just talking to someone from Norway. She said, when you're not running ads on Facebook and Instagram, you don't have a business. That really is that serious for a lot of businesses in certain countries. Like, because for Norway, TikTok is banned. Yeah, certain countries, TikTok is not allowed. So, well, that's what happened, right? So that's the situation. So yeah, but here's what we actually discovered. This is a new development, but it's a 50% chance you can try. You can actually create a new profile for yourself, all right? And then you can start creating a business manager, and eventually it's a 50% chance, 50-50 chance. Half the time you will have your account disabled right away. Meaning you'll be disabled. Let's say like they will request your identity for confirmation, okay? And usually when you submit the ID and everything, it actually goes through. I would say 50% of time it goes through, and 50% of time you don't have any restriction, and you can actually create a Facebook page and start running ads. So that's why this is some new development. So I'm actually seeing some cases, successful cases based on this method, so you can actually try. Okay, so the method is create a new profile and right away create a new business. I mean, not saying right away, as in like you got to build a profile bit, make sure you put your profile picture, the name is correct and everything, and you make sure it's actually the name is like the same as your ID, because you'll be requested to submit your ID. Remember, so go through that, you might get through. So that's a 50-50%. I mean, 50-50 chance for you. So let's try, see whether you get this through, right? So yeah, all the best, my friend. And yeah, come back to this next question. So this is a question about increasing Facebook ads budget affecting the Facebook ads performance. So Thomas was saying you had a pretty low cost CPL, cost per lead, on some campaigns, so you double the budget and your CPL increased and you got a fewer leads. And then when you had a lower budget, which was very odd, so you only recommend increasing the budget by 20% of the time. Then do you have any tips if you have big budget increase that you need to do? Okay, now this is a very good question, Thomas. There are several techniques that we use to do massive scale, but theoretically, that's what we do, right? Increase 20%, monitor for at least 3 days, if possible, 7 days. Okay, and then eventually we monitor a few key metrics like CTR, CPM, and of course the cost per result overall. And if it's stable, then we can actually keep increasing until we hit a ceiling. That's what we usually do. So we cannot rush. Sometimes when you run a campaign, you just cannot rush because the campaign takes time to learn, and the ad account also, that everything is actually needs time to learn. Sometimes you cannot just rush, but we can actually do a like a faster like more rapid scaling kind of technique as we we can actually do that. So that's something we can do. Or the other one is we can actually do horizontal scaling, as in we can actually develop multiple ad sets with similar audience targeting or different audience targeting, but we implement very strict exclusion. Okay, and then we let them run in a more parallel way. So let's say if one ad set you spend $100, you can actually have like 5 ad sets, each one spend 100, but that kind of like technically you are multiplying the budget by 5. But that you have to make sure you actually apply the exclusion in a very strict way to make sure the ad sets do not compete among each other. So that's one of the technique that we do. But of course, we need to understand the complexity of the campaign. Like if you have we can actually scale by different categories, or we can actually scale by different audiences and all that. So there are many ways to do this. Yeah, we can actually look into that. So if you need help, right, just in case, Thomas, you can actually scan this QR code. We can spend half an hour, quickly look into your campaign. This is not like a strategy development gig. This is really to answer your questions about, let's dive into the campaign and identify opportunities. Then we can actually talk about building a strategy for scaling. But of course, if you really want to get into the scaling strategy, you can actually go into my Fiverr profile. There is another gig talking about strategy development, which is, we're going to spend an hour. Of course, prior to that, I'll get information about your campaign, and we would develop a, like a more robust advertising strategy, Facebook advertising strategy for your business or your campaign. So that's another gig. You can actually go in and take a look. But follow this link; it will bring you to my Fiverr. If you just want to ask me any questions, book the gig. Otherwise, go for any gig that suits you better. There are several services that I'm offering on my Fiverr. Okay, so thanks for the question, Thomas. Then the next question is coming in. Comedy Cinema UG. So the question is, how do you contact me? Yeah, you can actually ask your questions on my YouTube channel, which you already did, which is your question is, how do you contact me? You can drop me a message on Facebook, but we do not answer technical questions. And in fact, we do not answer a lot of questions. In fact, if you ask me questions, I'll be answering your questions over here. But if you want to talk to me regarding certain problem that you're having, or any advertising specific, as in Facebook advertising specific questions you have, you can actually scan this QR code, buy me a mail, and we can spend half an hour looking into your question or see your situation, whatever it is. I do not promise to be able to provide answer to any questions, but I do my best based on my experience. I do my best to help you, based on my experience, all right? So scan this QR code, buy me a mail, and we can spend half an hour together privately, one-on-one, to answer your questions. Anyone? All right, so that's that. Thanks for the question. And this is the last one. Okay, now Lightning Invest. This is a question on my video about Facebook ads account permanently restricted. So Lightning Invest is saying your business account manager, okay, was permanently banned. But now you can actually somehow advertise with your own personal account. Is it dumb, smart, or am I missing something? Is it maybe possible to schedule a short meeting? You would definitely give me a cup of coffee, thank you, for a few minutes of my time. So yeah, okay, now if you see, there are different restrictions. When it comes to permanent ban, there are different permanent ban. The worst case is permanent ban on your Facebook profile, as in your profile cannot run ads on any business manager, any ad accounts at all. So that's the worst case. Now, the other one is your ad account ban, your page ban, and your business manager ban. Now, business manager ban also has got several different situations. Now, looks like you have the lightest situation, which is only that business manager is banned, but your profile is intact and your personal ads account is also intact. So looks like that's your situation. So in fact, it's not dumb. You can actually continue running ads. But eventually, here's what I'm actually trying to give you some heads up. At one point, Facebook will ask for your ID. I mean, they might not, but usually it will actually, you have to go through that once. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure everybody who run ads on Facebook are real human. Nothing wrong with that, right? But sometimes they screw up. In fact, a lot of times they screw up. So a lot of accounts are being disabled for the wrong reason, and a lot of hiccups and a lot of bugs, right? Like just now, one of my clients just emailed me about one of his friend. I mean, they were being requested to confirm identity, but when they click the button, they couldn't go through. It just keep loading and loading and loading like nobody's business. So these are a lot of bugs that are flying around, so which is causing a lot of hustle and inconveniences among, especially Facebook advertisers. So yeah, I say I need to actually look at your situation and to be able to give you some, personalized recommendation. But whatever that you're doing right now, as long as it's working, keep doing it. But my recommendation is, if you just want to quickly get the answer, you can actually consider creating a business manager with your personal profile and bring everything in and start running ads. But one thing you have to make sure is your page tied to the business manager that is disabled, because that will be quite tricky, because you want to make sure that you untie that so that you are able to carry the page into the new business manager. Yet again, that I have to look into your situation. So anyway, scan this QR code, buy me a mail. It's a mail, all right? And we will spend half an hour together to look at your situation, and I'll be able to guide you through the steps to really develop this thing in a more proper way, so that to make sure that you won't get into trouble again with your campaign. Okay, so that's all the questions I have collected on my YouTube channel, and I don't see any questions coming up. So if you guys have any questions, you can actually spend the next 10 seconds to quickly type in, because I'm gonna do the wrap up over here. All right, so any one of you who is watching live, or actually if you're watching the replay at all, don't worry, this is what I do. I do this every week, every Sunday night at 10 p.m. Malaysia time. So all you need to do, if you have any Facebook advertising and digital marketing related questions, just go to my YouTube channel. That's the first step, and try to search for an answer, because I posted more than 900 videos on my YouTube channel. Chances are I probably have answered your question in one way or another before. Try to search for it. If you cannot find an answer, it's okay. All you need to do is just post your question as a comment on any of my YouTube videos, and I'll be able to capture them and answer your questions like this. I would not be replying to your comment, because it's not practical. A lot of, in fact, Facebook ads related questions needs to be discussed this way, and I prefer to talk to you like this instead of like typing. The back and forth typing is meaningless to me sometimes. So let's do this. And yeah, I mean, if you are able to join me live, just join me live every Sunday night. We can actually do this together. So with that, I don't see any questions coming up anymore. Thank you so much for watching this and for joining me live, whoever who is still there. Thank you. And yeah, as usual, we're going to do this next week, same time. With that, enjoy the rest of the weekend and have an awesome week ahead. All right. See you next week. Good night.